Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Martin Outside. This isn't another one of our expeditions with the usual suspects, not us climbing up a mountain. This week I'm going to talk a little bit about another piece of my gear, another part of my gear system here, another little aspect of it. And this week I want to talk about first aid kits. First aid kits could be a little funny. Everybody has different ideas, different opinions on what a first aid kit should be, what should be in a first aid kit. But there are some basic things that should be in each kit. Now, before I show you mine, I'm going to warn you that some of you are going to say, wow, that's really a heavy first aid kit. And some of you are going to say, wow, there's not much in that first aid kit. How could he feel safe out there? Again, what you have in your first aid kit oftentimes is a matter of personal preference. And I'm not here to tell you this is the absolute right way to do it. Again, I'm just sharing with you what I do. This is my first aid kit. This is what I keep my first aid, for the most part, all my first aid items in. In addition to first aid, I have this little Petzl light headlamp that I bring with me on my trips. This goes in here. I'd like to keep it in the first aid kit because of how handy my kit is, where I can find it. Before I go any further, when it comes to first aid kits, make sure you have it somewhere where it's easily accessible. If you use a backpack with a back pocket to it, have it in that back pocket. If you have a backpack with a lid or a frame type compartment, make sure it's in the top. You don't want to have to go looking for your first aid kit when you need it. And that's the reason why I like to keep my headlamp in there. It's small enough, it fits neatly inside my first aid kit. Again, I'm not saying you have to do that. I just like the idea of if I need my headlamp, it's right where my first aid kit is. And if it's at night and I need something out of here, what's better than saying, okay, there's my lights to help me find it. My kit is basically broken down. I got little pockets in here, which helps to keep things organized. Start with this here. I have like a little area here with just a couple of gauze pads in it, and some Luca tape that I've cut up to put in here for blister prevention. And that could be a whole nother episode if I talked about foot care. Something maybe we'll get into at another time. But I've switched from moleskin to Luca tape. But this is about the first aid kit, not about foot care. On that same side, I found this really cool pair of tweezers, because tweezers are something you should have in there. It has a little magnifying glass on it. Kind of cool. Found this in the local hardware store. I think I paid $2 for it. I also keep a couple of these alcohol wipes. This is something that I will have like maybe 4 of in my kit. And again, this is the same kit I take on day hikes. I take this on day hikes. I take it on multi-week hikes. I'll get into why I have as much as I do or as little as I do in just a moment. I keep nail clippers in here. And something that I'd recommend for everyone, because they're saying this can be a tough year for ticks. These little tick grabbers or tick remover tools, they came out a few years ago. I get rid of the little carabiner that comes with it because the truth is, if I need to remove a tick, I'm putting it in here. I'm going to keep it in here because I also want to clean the wound. I want to be able to get right to the alcohol swab. I'm going to have to take the first aid kit out anyway. I keep a Write and Rain pen, and on the other side, I have some Write and Rain paper. Not the whole pad, just a couple pieces of paper in case I have to leave a message or take some notes. Some naproxen and my allergy meds. Also, I keep some antibiotic ointment. I found these little single-use packets are probably the best to use. They're less bulky. One thing is that you do have to they do expire. I always write and put Sharpie on the back, the expiration date, so I don't have to sit there trying to figure it out, looking at it stamped inside there. In this same pocket, I also have, I'll keep a wet wipe in there. If I'm dirty and have a wound, I like to use that to clean the area off first before I treat it with any antibiotic ointments. And Special K gave me this pretty cool little card here. This is about tick information, about the different types of ticks you can find in the woods, not just what they look like, but symptoms of the illnesses that might occur as a result of being bit by a tick. So this is something I put in my first aid kit because if I remove a tick and I'm not feeling right, well, I could take that out and say, and maybe determine, okay, are these the side effects of the tick I took off of me, and maybe I need to get off the trail. And then I just keep this little assortment of Band-Aids, just a small assortment. Now, for those of you that are already judged and said, well, that's way too heavy to take with you. Okay, it might be, but that's my comfort level. And when it comes to first aid kits, just like with all gear, it's about your comfort level, your personal comfort level. And some of you are saying it's just not enough. Well, let me say this. If I need more than that assortment of Band-Aids, I need to get off the trail. I might have a wound that's bigger than my first aid kit's going to handle. If I need bigger gauze pads, if I need more than what's in my first aid kit, I need to be thinking about either getting emergency medical help or getting off the trail completely. There are some items we can take with us, though, that can be improvised. Instead of carrying 4x4 gauze pads and a huge assortment of Band-Aids with us, a bandana. It's one of the most useful things we can bring with us in the backcountry. This can be used as a sling. It could be used if you need to make splints. I know there's these big first aid kits that come with these SAM splints. I just want to say I have been certified 6 times in my life in wilderness first aid. I am not qualified to teach wilderness first aid, but I have learned through my wilderness first aid classes how you can make a splint in the backwoods, in the backcountry, by finding some sticks and using some bandanas. This could be used to clean a wound, and it could be used, as I said, as a bandage. Multi-purpose tool can be used as part of your first aid kit. Tweezers should be in there. And you saw my tweezers. I thought, okay, they're pretty cool. You know, they have the magnifying glass on them. But my pocket knife has tweezers. Again, think through your whole system. Do I need tweezers on my knife and tweezers in here? Scissors. My knife's sharp enough to cut gauze pads or Band-Aids or moleskin or Luca tape, anything I'm going to use. Multi-purpose. Another thing I feel pretty strongly about is that, as you can see, my kit is red. If I need to ask somebody to find my first aid kit, it jumps right out. It's that red bag in there. Some people use bright yellow bags, bright red bags. This is just a dry sack. Again, it would jump right out at you if you said, hey, can you grab my first aid kit? It's right there. So try to keep your gear in something that's easy for other people to find if you need them to. Another thing I keep in my kit is this anti-itch relief. I've had times in New Jersey, I've done a lot of backpacking in New Jersey where the state bird's the mosquito. Yeah, haha, I've heard all the New Jersey jokes. Worth keeping in there, worth the couple of ounces you have to carry. That's my everyday. That's whether I go on a day hike or a multi-week hike or an overnight. That's my first aid kit. In the wintertime, I take an extra precaution. I have this little space blanket here, I guess they're called. It's Mylar on the inside. It's a nice, strong material. You could put this around somebody if somebody gets hurt, or yourself. This even has grommets on it. It could be made into a shelter if need be, if you get stuck out there for the night. And something I stick in my day pack year-round, I should have mentioned, if it's just part of the first aid, is this little bivvy here. Again, it doesn't weigh all that much, but if you get stuck out there, somebody gets hurt, and one of the first things you need to do if somebody gets hurt is to keep them warm, try to make them as comfortable as you can. This is worth the extra weight of carrying around. And last in first aid is hand sanitizer. Don't put it in the first aid kit. Hand sanitizer kind of falls between first aid and your just outback sanitation. I don't want to get totally into that, but this should be something that's accessible probably with your trawl or your, maybe I have one that clips onto the outside of my pack, but hand sanitizer, important. And when the weather gets a little better, I'll show you a couple different purposes for hand sanitizer too, besides cleaning your hands. Always looking to multi-purpose my gear. I'm not like over the top ultralight backpacking, but I like to multi-purpose my gear and cut down on the number of items I need to bring with me. Make sure you subscribe to Martin Outside. Check out the podcast, papabearhikes.com. Like this and hit the notification bell. Everybody, have a great day. Get out, have some fun, and remember, be safe.